Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining in person and those viewing on HPA-TV. Our public comment tonight, it's November 10th, 2025. The meeting, it can be viewed at hpa-tv.org, HPA-TV channel 96 on Comcast, channel 6032 on Comcast and Frontier. Public comment should be conducted in accordance with the following procedure. Each person shall give his name, address, and if he or she appears as a group, in addition shall state for the record the name and address of said group or organization. Every speaker shall be limited to his or her remarks for 3 minutes. All remarks shall be addressed to the council as a body and not any member thereof. During the public comment, no member of the council may address the council as a member of the public. Any person making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks, or who becomes boisterous, shall address the council, shall be forthwith barred from further audience of said meeting. During the public comment, there shall be no debate by the council, although questions may be asked by council persons making such presentation. I don't believe we have anyone who signed up online or joining us hybrid, I don't believe. So we have lots of company in person. The first person to speak is going to be Mr. Bill Katz.
Neighborhood complaints, if I can call them neighborhood complaints, they're not really, they're two. I'm sorry?
Speak a little bit louder.
I can say it as loud as you need.
The mic is not working. Give us a minute.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so the first issue that I wanted to bring to your attention, which I already have in an individual letter form to each council person and mayor a few months back, was the what occurs when a car crashes into a pole, a utility pole. Often it needs to be replaced. And so the procedure is that apparently, I have to say apparently because I'm not an insider, I've only interviewed personnel from the Eversource that were replacing a pole at one time. So electricity has to be dealt with first. So Eversource comes out. They apparently hire a contractor to bring out a new pole that's put into the ground, and they have to immediately transfer electrical wires to the new pole. That's the extent of their responsibility. You know, we often see poles, half or partial poles that are dangling in midair or tethered to the new pole, or even worse, some pieces of utility poles that are broken at their base and the wood splints are sticking out, and they are very much a danger to children that are playing around there. I was going to cut one of those pieces and bring it in as a gift to you guys just to dramatize it a bit, but these poles remain there year after year after year, and nothing is done about it. One of the reasons that I have discerned is that the cable companies, whether it's Frontier or maybe a previous cable provider that no longer exists but still has wires up, it's not Eversource does not have that responsibility to finish that job. So it's a bifurcated system. They do what they have to do, and they're out. They're done. These things remain unfinished, untended, and it's a danger, and it's a sight to behold. Now, I took pictures of 3 places close to where I live in the Southwest, and I don't know if any of you council people received it, but I hard copied letters with photos of these 3 places, one being on the corner of Linmore Street, Maple Avenue, another one on Hillside Avenue, close to White Street, and another one on Summit Street, across from Trinity College. Horrible. It's horrible. It's disgusting, and I'm stumped as to why council and people that are in office don't take an avid role in figuring out and mandating these things to be completed. All of these at least the two that I mentioned have been in this condition, sordid condition, for several years. Nothing is done about it. It's really long overdue to try to straighten it out. It might actually involve state. I don't know, because there are different entities involved in this. The electric company has done their business, done their duty, and they're out of there. They don't care about what remains. It's not apparently their problem. So I just hope that you guys pay some attention to this. I would hate to think that we'll be writing a story one day about some child that got cut and poisoned from one of these old utility poles that are sticking out of the ground with wood splints. And I don't think anybody wants that on their conscience. So that, I hope, is addressed. The other issue is, now I'm a resident of Hartford. I was even born in this town. I'm not that, anyway, we have had a 911 situation with fire department. The fire department took this on somewhere in the 1990s. I don't know what year they did. And that seems to have migrated to many different municipalities where fire apparatus goes out on 911 calls. West Hartford does. I interviewed and went over to West Hartford. They have 2 small vehicles that go out. They have medics that go out on call. We don't have the medic level. We just have, personnel with emergency equipment to revive anybody that needs it until an ambulance arrives on the scene and they're taken to a hospital. But for decades, we have been sending out hook and ladders, and from what I discern, brand new hook and ladders cost anywhere from $500,000 to $2 million to replace. They're good for about 15 years, but because these hook and ladders are out 24/7, they don't last perhaps more than 10 years. So we're replacing all of these vehicles when, from the beginning, there should have been a plan to purchase small, compact vehicles, 4-wheel drive, so they don't get stuck in storms in the winter, to go out on 911 calls. It makes no sense. We're wasting millions of dollars, and nobody is dealing with it. I know I went over to the old Mike Peters firehouse and interviewed a couple of firemen over there, and they gave me the lowdown on it. Just last week, I live on Linmore Street. My next door neighbor has I don't know if it was because of her son, but suddenly around 6 or 7 o'clock, there were 2 hook and ladders, another fire truck. They all came barreling down the street. They knocked on their door. 2 minutes later, they all ran back to their trucks and went off to somewhere else. I guess they had the wrong address. All of that waste of equipment, when one small vehicle could have gone down to that residence, ascertained what the problem was, and resolved it and moved on. Instead, there were 3 big trucks. And when we'll address this, I don't know, but it's costing the city of Hartford money. It's costing me money because I pay taxes in this town, and it's a no-brainer. But it seems to be a brainer because it's not been fixed for several decades. So thank you for your time. If you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Katz.
Okay.
Mr. Katz, can I ask you again to send, if you still have those pictures regarding the utility poles?
Yes, I have actually a couple more sets, and I neglected to bring them with me. I will do so and send them to your office.
Yeah, if you can send it to us electronically, we'd appreciate it so we can follow up.
Thank you.
Apologize for not following up before.
That's okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up to speak is Miss Shirley Mims.
Good evening. My
Good
name
evening.
is Shirley Mims. I live at 93 Sequin Street in Hartford. I am a resident of Hartford. I vote in Hartford. I work for the Recreation Department. I've worked for the Recreation Department over 30 years. During this time, I have supervised games, centers, coached basketball, monitor the recreation centers, worked in flag football too, and coached basketball. Recently, I feel like I was ambushed on the phone with a telephone call from the Director of Recreation, Brian Gallagher, Supervisor Troy McCoy, and Christina, I think is his clerk. Briefly, they talked to me briefly about a job, then they began to berate me and said that I wasn't fit for the job. And I'm saying, I worked over 30 years in recreation, how I'm not fit? So I think I was very surprised about this. They should have not contacted me without my union representative, which they did not. And it's very unprofessional and against our contract. I need to pay my bills. I'm behind on my bills because I'm a homeowner. And I'm behind on my bills and they're getting behind. I need to be put back to work. I've called, I've asked a couple of times, and why is I'm not working. And my conversation for what I got from Troy after the fact that they ambushed me on the phone, and I thought it was really disrespectful to me. Anyway, he said that he couldn't. So I said, well, why you can't? And he couldn't give me an explanation. He said, I just can't. So like I said before, I came back to work, a volunteer. I worked that day. And I saw people was working, and he said he didn't have the funds. So it's one thing from the next. This needs to be addressed. I need to get back to work. I'm falling so behind, it scares me right now. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to keep up my house anymore. And I don't know why I didn't have nothing was written the same, nothing was written that I knew of that would give me something in writing. Why not? And that's my issue. You know, hey, like I said, my mother was passing away. She had chronic kidney disease, and I felt that I was the best person to take care of her because there was so much problem with people being on time and coming on time and taking care of her exactly. So as that's said, I've talked to the supervisor and the director that was there first, and they said that I could, don't worry about it, but now I have to worry about it because I have no job.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm leaving this up to you. I hope
Okay.
this could be worked out. I don't know what, but I'm still falling behind, and I need to go back to work.
Thank you, Ms.
And I
Sims.
think, oh, well, I forgot to put about sexism, racism, and ageism.
Got you.
Okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. Michael Downs.
I'm Michael Downs, 74 Rosemont Street in Hartford. I'm a co-worker of Shirley. For the past 2 years, I haven't been put to work by the Recreation Department. No reason, no indication. The procedure is they call a meeting, especially for the summer workers. They call a meeting. Everybody comes to the meeting at one of the recreation centers, and they tell us about the jobs that are available, and they assign us to a park or to a recreation center, and we pass out lunches or have games for kids, and we move on from there. And I've never once in the past 2 years been called to a meeting. No one ever called me to a meeting. No one called me. No one wrote a letter to me. No one texted me. No one emailed me concerning this. And you know, I'll admit I'm 83 years old, but I can still work. And Hartford Public Schools seems no problem putting me to work, teaching school. So why can't I be working at least in the summer, monitoring kids at recreation centers and helping in the pools and they've saw no reason for that. I think there's probably a little bit of ageism involved, and as Ms. Mims has indicated, probably sexism and racism in her condition, her circumstance, this is against working against our contract. There's no reason, they've written me no reason why I'm not working. And of course, any talking to us now, they need to have a union representative. But to have a union representative is illegal, and definitely against the contract. And the city signed the contract. So, it's totally unprofessional to ambush somebody on the telephone like they did. And so I feel that there's a problem there in the recreation department, and it needs to be looked into. And I appreciate it, and I appreciate Mr. Katz coming up. I always read his articles in the Hartford News, and I did mention to him that possibly the telephone company could own those poles, because we always called them growing up telephone poles.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, but maybe not. Maybe but they could be involved. But it is a complex problem, because you have all sorts of companies that are involved: the electrical company, the cable companies, and the telephone companies. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up to speak would be Alyssa Peterson.
Good evening, council members.
evening.
Alyssa Peterson, Grandview Terrace. I'm here tonight on two zoning-related items. 2 weeks ago, I submitted a letter on behalf of our NRZ Chair Hyacinth Yene to simply postpone an item so it could come before the full group for review. The request was for a special permit for configuration for 75 seats in the first floor of a small bank building, and a new 160 seats on one half of the second floor of this small bank branch. Now, granted, it was for a church. We didn't have a problem with that, but we didn't understand how you could possibly have 235 people in this small bank branch building with a small parking lot and no parking in front on a very unusual angle on the corner of White and Broad. What was stunning was we simply asked for postponement on this special permit, and we simply said, could it come before the full NRZ? I was stunned. For the first time in a long time, I was stunned at the comments of commission members, and I was stunned at the comments of Corp Counsel Rich Vassallo. Essentially, the NRZ input didn't matter, and this was a right, and it was going to go forward. And it was up to the fire department to determine if 235 people were too many for this tiny, building. Truly, I was stunned specifically because the comments about that the NRZ's input didn't matter. And how many years has the Marge NRZ participated so actively in all the commissions and meetings and council, and you see Hyacinth here. It was just stunning to me that all of a sudden there was this reversal or this non-acknowledgement that an NRZ input was not needed, and so they just passed the item rather than postpone. The second item tonight is you've already got the letter, and I understand the item has been withdrawn or will be withdrawn, but this is about the changing citywide the requirements for homeless shelters and rooming houses. And again, all it is a request to postpone so that we can discuss, have all the NRZs discuss, have Hartford Next discuss, and so that they all can put their input in. And what I'm finding out is here we are going into the third year of this administration, and the communication is really bad. It's really like a rookie year for these people. They're all very nice, but we've got to focus on communication and communication between planning and NRZs. And I really haven't seen it this bad before. So specifically what I'm bringing to your attention tonight is, and Council President, I'm focusing on you. Apparently several years ago, you and the former planning chair at Chambers had the idea that a special permit would require, by ordinance change, a special permit would require the NRZ's input to be put into the record. And it would also require the group requesting the special permit to go before the NRZ or at least have communication with the NRZ. If the NRZ blew the person off or the group off, or if there was no communication or no meeting, fine. Then the application went forward, you know, that's it, without commentary. So I would like to bring this issue back around. You had a good idea then. Apparently, you know, the vaunted Charlie Matthews decided that, you know, we couldn't do this, but he's gone, okay? Ms. Chambers was amenable, it's my understanding. So I am asking this council to take this issue up again, to require NRZ input on a special permit. And when there is also such a critical zone change, like the text changes for homeless shelters, rooming houses, and group homes citywide, that we really must have. It's another situation where you must have NRZ input. In that letter I stated, zoning changes were done under former chair Sarah Bronin just a few years ago. Those changes were input. And then your own City of Hartford affordable housing plan was approved 3 years ago by this council. In that plan, it was quite, it was quite comprehensive as to what we can do with temporary housing, shelters. And the answer was not more shelters. The answer was aggressive support, aggressive services, emergency housing vouchers, plans for helping an applicant plan for housing, apply to housing, veteran services, financial counseling, mental health counseling. So those ideas were good in that plan. The proposed changes for the homeless shelter, rooming house, didn't have one word from that affordable housing plan about homeless shelters. I just think, again, there's a chasm between planning and between the mayor's office. And finally, I'd like to add, these changes were being made politically. It was to facilitate a project of the mayor's. And you don't do a citywide major overhaul of zoning just to accommodate one project of a mayor. So I will leave it at that. I am glad to hear the item's been pulled and that we're going to address it next year. But specifically, council, if you could take up the issue of special permits, an ordinance change. Special permits require an NRZ input, as do citywide changes require NRZ input. I thank you for the amount of time that you've provided tonight. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Let me do say that I remember when I became a council person 7 years ago, and being an NRZ member, I certainly required and asked and had several meetings that the planning and zoning, special permit, just basically overall all DDS. If there are any new business coming into the neighborhood in that NRZ, to notify the NRZ group. I also, and I will try to go back and see if I can find my notes and my emails on that issue, but I do support that the NRZ, which is an integral part of our city, which are very involved in the community and making their decision, you know, what is built or what businesses, you know, is coming to the community so they can have a yes or a no. So I will again follow back up with DDS and, you know, ask them, and or we can have PD&H meeting again
There we go.
Okay?
Council
And-
President, I couldn't thank you enough for
and
doing
address
that.
that issue all over again.
No, it needs to.
Since we have lost it. Yes, I did get your, Ms. Yenny's information regarding the zoning text change,
Mm-hmm.
and I did inquire on that today also, and I was told that it will be pulled, or it's going to be pulled,
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. And I was planning and sending to the zoning commission my opinion on that issue.
Okay. Thank you so much for considering this possible ordinance change. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's it. Anybody else would like to make any comment to the council? Don't see anyone online either. No. Well, since we have no one else to address us, I am going to call this public comment to close. Thank everybody for coming.